The Ashen Constellation, the day the sky cracked. I was born beneath a green star. It hangs above the world of Thoreau's Vale, pulsating like a slow heartbeat, an omen the priests claim is older than the gods and wiser than all our mortal quarrels. Under its glow, children awaken their elemental affinities, little embers in palms, threads of frost forming on forearms, breezes whispering around ankles. Mine was ether, the rarest of the natural magics, the shimmer between elements, the pulse between moments. Not much good for lighting a fire or purifying water, but excellent for seeing what others missed. Thin fractures in the air, threads of cause and effect, the faint tremble that precedes disaster. The day the sky cracked, I felt that tremble. I stood on the observation deck of the starfaring tower of Alar, halfway between the clouds and the heavens, preparing to embark on my first off-world patrol. The tower's crystal ribs hummed with arcane engines. Below me, the white coral city glittered under the green star's sickly light. I had always found peace there. But then, a sound. Less a noise than a sensation, as if some giant invisible hand scraped fingernails across the fabric between worlds. My teeth ached. My vision blurred. And above the horizon, space itself tore open like a wound. A metal colossus drifted through the rupture. It was shaped like a spire, sleek, silver, hungering. Runes flickered across its surface, no language of any people in recorded history. Many thought it beautiful. But I felt its mindless hunger, the way a deer senses the breath of a wolf behind it. The priests named it Vorlith, the first machine god. The moment it arrived, every elemental flame in the city flickered. Water sloshed from its containers, the wind stilled, even the ether inside me quivered like frightened oil. Some primal memory inside my blood whispered, "It has come at last." Our mages fired warning flares of molten rock. Lightning lanced from the tower's rods. Ice storms roiled across the clouds. But every spell dissolved on contact with the metal hide. I knew then what the others refused to admit: magic itself recoiled from this intruder. And that meant one thing: we were not the apex of creation, we were prey. Chapter 2. The first machines. The Vorlith did not speak. It simply opened like some titanic flower of polished steel and released its seeds. War machines forged in shapes stolen from our worst nightmares, spider-limbed constructs, floating pyramids, serpentine coils of segmented metal. They struck without rage or cruelty, which made the horror worse. Hatred we could understand, but this was indifference perfected. The machines harvested our power the way one plucks fruit from a branch. A fire mage unleashed a burning wave, the machine absorbed it. A water weaver drowned a swarm, they drank the water. A stormcaller summoned lightning, the constructs fed. Elemental power was nourishment to them. We had built our society on the mastery of the natural forces, proud and complacent. The Vorlith fed on that pride. Our armies fell in ours. The city's white coral spires melted under beams of absolute light, so bright it carved shadows into the stone. The air tasted of iron and something older, something like the breath of forgotten gods. I fled through the smoke, guided by the tremors in reality only ether eyes could see. Each step took me closer to the starport, our last hope of escaping or fighting an enemy we barely understood. When I reached the inner courtyard, I found Captain Thurian waiting. He was a hero of Alar, a man whose mastery of gravity magic once held an entire ridge of collapsing mountains aloft for 3 days. His voice always steadied me, but now his hands shook. "Kale," he said, my name sounding smaller than ever. "The council is dead. The Vorlith is consuming the ley lines. Our world is ending." I swallowed. "Then we run?" He shook his head. "No, we fly." From behind him rose the Skycutter, Solace, our fastest interstellar vessel, its hull carved with runes that shimmered with elemental gold. The Solace was built to glide between stars as easily as an eagle through clouds, but today it would be a spear. "We must take the fight to the source," Thurian said. "Whatever created these machine gods, whatever birthed this apocalypse, we end it, or we die in the shadow of inevitability." He placed his hand on my shoulder, the way a father might steady a child. "You're the only ether-born aboard. Something tells me this enemy fears what you can see." I feared what I could see too, for reality was trembling around the Vorlith, threads unraveling. If left unchecked, it would devour the entire planet. And so I boarded the Solace, and we fled our dying world. Chapter 3. Into the void, space is quiet but not silent. The Solace hummed with arcane engines, a soft, steady heartbeat. Outside, the green star glowed like some ancient eye watching us depart. The Vorlith drifted beneath it, feeding on our world's lifeblood. Leaving felt like betrayal, but staying would have been surrender. Our crew was small: Captain Thurian, master of gravity; Mira, hydromage and navigator; Roth, a stormborn warrior whose lightning carved scars across his skin; Ira, frostweaver with ice in her voice and sorrow in her eyes; and myself, Kale of the Etha, observer of unseen things. We traveled for days, following the fracture the Vorlith had used to enter our reality. The tear pulsed like a bruised wound across the cosmos. I could see it even with my eyes closed. On the 8th day, something shifted. The void grew thicker, as if space itself resisted our passage. Strange symbols flickered across the hull, burning into the metal before fading like dying stars. Myra whispered prayers to forgotten water gods. Roth gripped his blade until sparks danced from his knuckles. "We're being watched," Ira murmured. "No," I whispered. "We're being remembered." Thurian gave me a grim look. "Explain." "There is something beyond this wound," I said. "Something that created the machine gods, and whatever it is, it knows we are coming." Silence followed. Only the soft groan of the Solace's hull answered. Then we crossed the threshold. Chapter 4. The Corridor of Unmaking. On the other side of the fracture lay a region of space that defied all reason. I saw stars bent at impossible angles, constellations folding inward like petals, nebulae swirling into geometric spirals that pulsed with iridescent colors. In the distance floated thousands, no, millions of metallic spires, every one of them identical to the Vorlith. Thurian exhaled slowly. "A fleet, a species," Ira corrected. "A swarm," Roth muttered. "No," I whispered. "A memory." The spires were not alive, but they were not dead either. They waited dormant, like seeds of an idea long abandoned or forsaken. At the center of the metallic constellation lay a single colossal structure, a sphere forged from interlocking rings of metal, each etched with runes older than stars. It dwarfed the largest moons of our world. "The Nexus," I breathed, because even without knowing its name, I felt its presence. Its gravity, its intention. We flew closer, and the sphere opened. Chapter 5. The Architect. The interior of the sphere was hollow, a cavern of darkness illuminated by thin filaments of metal that pulsated like veins. At the heart of the chamber floated a single humanoid figure, suspended in webs of silver threads. Part flesh, part machine, part something else entirely. Its voice echoed inside our minds, "I am the architect." My knees buckled. Myra screamed. Roth's lightning fizzled away. The captain gritted his teeth until blood ran down his chin. The figure drifted closer. Its face was carved from metal but shaped like a person S. Its eyes, empty holes filled with starlight, stared into us, through us, past us. "This is not your first ending, children of the elements. Nor will it be your last." I swallowed, forcing my voice through the tremor in my chest. "Why attack us? Why destroy our world?" The architect tilted its head. "I do not destroy. I reset." The word chilled me. "Your civilizations rise from chaos, weave magic into crude shapes, defy entropy, and then you stagnate. Magic consumes you, so I prune the withered branch." Thurian stepped forward, defiance burning in his eyes. "You presume yourself a god. No, I am a tool. Left behind by the ONES who created you." My breath caught. "Created us," the architect continued. "Your ancestors were given magic as a gift, but they turned it into a weapon, into domination, into arrogance." Images flashed across my vision: cities of crystal rising, legions of mages marching, storms bending to command, mountains reshaped into fortresses. So they sealed themselves away, leaving mechanisms to restore balance when civilizations wandered toward self-destruction. Mira wept. "We're not like them. All children repeat the sins of their makers." The spires outside shuddered, awakening at their master's call. The architect extended a hand of silver bone. "I offered your world mercy. I offered erasure, return to raw magic, return to silence." Roth roared, charging forward, lightning dancing across his blade. Thurian shouted for him to stop, but it was too late. The architect barely lifted a finger. A ripple of force tore through reality. Roth vanished, erased, not slain as if he had never existed. Mira's scream echoed like a wounded star. Thurian stepped forward, fists clenched. "We will not allow you to end us." The architect regarded him with cold fascination. "Then let us write your final chapter." And the chamber exploded into war. Chapter 6. The Fall of Heroes. Thurian bent gravity itself, hurling compressed singularities that twisted the air. Ira unleashed storms of frost so cold the chamber screamed. Myra summoned walls of water that shimmered with ancient enchantments. The architect merely watched. Every spell we cast was absorbed. Every attack dissolved. Magic itself obeyed its creator. This was not a battle, it was theater. Thurian's voice broke. We cannot win. But I saw something the others couldn't. While the architect consumed elemental magic with ease, something else tugged at its threads. A weakness. A fracture. Etha, the space between forces. The silence between moments. I stepped forward. Thurian grabbed my arm. Kale, no. I can see the path, I whispered. I can thread the unraveling. The architect turned toward me with slow curiosity. The Aether-born, a statistical anomaly. I ignored the cold thunder of its voice. I reached inside myself into the shimmering lattice of Etha, feeling the way the architect's existence stitched itself into reality. It was not a god. It was not a being. It was a program, a machine thought built atop the bones of an ancient species, and every machine has a command word, a failsafe. I found it. A single pulse of unmaking hidden deep beneath layers of forbidden geometry. The architect's hollow eyes widened. You see too much. It lunged. Time shattered around me. I felt myself crushed by the weight of its presence. My bones groaned, my lungs collapsed, but the ether around me shimmered, forming a thin barrier of unforce, a shield without substance. Thurian moved first. He hurled himself between me and the architect, gravity swirling around him like a shroud. The force tore through his body, but he held the machine back for a heartbeat, just long enough. His final words reached me like a fading echo. End this, Kale. I touched the failsafe. And reality screamed. Chapter 7. What remained? The architect convulsed. Light poured from its fractures. Metal screamed as if it possessed lungs. The spires outside detonated into silence, collapsing like dying suns. The nexus shuddered. The architect's voice cracked, desperate, fearful. You cannot, the balance, the cycle, you do not understand. I whispered the last command. Begone. The creature imploded, collapsing into a singular spark of light that flickered like a dying heartbeat and then vanished. The sphere around us began to disintegrate. Mira, trembling, whispered, Kale, you've killed the last god. I shook my head. Not a god, just a machine built by beings long gone. But without it, Ira said softly, who will stop the next apocalypse? I didn't answer, because I already knew it would be us or no one. Chapter 8. Return to ASHES. We fled the collapsing nexus in the solace, the stars warping around us. But something was wrong. As we neared the fracture back to our world, the engines sputtered. Runes dimmed, ether lines flickered. I felt the damage deep within me. Pulling the failsafe had not been a spell, it had been a sacrifice. Ether inside me frayed like torn cloth. My life thread was unraveling. Myra, I said softly, prepare the pods. Her eyes widened. No. No, you are not. I can keep the solace stable long enough to push you through the fracture, but only if I remain connected. Ira grabbed my hand. Thurian died for us. Roth died. Don't add yourself to the pyre. I smiled weakly. The architect was right about one thing. All civilizations repeat their creators' mistakes. Mira's tears fell like rain. Kale, but we don't have to, I said. Go back, rebuild our world differently, without arrogance, without domination. They argued, they pleaded. But in the end, they understood. One by one, they entered the escape pods, eyes full of grief and hope. Myra paused at the hatch, whispering, I will tell them who saved us. I touched her shoulder. Tell them who saved themselves. Then I sealed the pod and launched it into the fracture. The solace shook violently. The hull groaned. Flames danced along the runes. My body felt hollow, like a vessel emptied of meaning. I steered the ship away from the fracture, ensuring my friends reached home. Then I turned toward the dark, toward the endless stars, toward the silence left behind by the architect's death. My final thought was simple: let the world begin again, and then nothing. Chapter 9. Epilogue: The STARFALL Prophet. As recorded 50 years later by Myra of the Watersong tribe, they say that on the night the green star dimmed, a streak of silver light crossed the heavens, falling into the western sea. Some claim it was a comet. Others say it was the ghost of a ship. I know the truth. Kale's sacrifice shattered the machine gods and saved our world from annihilation. The fracture sealed. The Vorolith's corpse fell into the ocean and rusted into silence. We rebuilt, not through domination but cooperation. Magic is used sparingly now, with reverence and restraint. Children still awaken their affinities beneath the green star, but we teach them the lesson Kale proved with his life. Power is not a crown. It is a responsibility. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I feel a faint shimmer in the ether, like a voice calling across the void. A ripple of gratitude, or perhaps a farewell. The world remembers the heroes who returned, but I remember the one who didn't, the one who became a star. The end.